The Galactic Confederation of superior beings had seen it all, or so they thought. Centuries of space exploration had brought them face to face with creatures that defied imagination, ethereal beings made of pure energy, hive-minded insects that spanned entire solar systems, even sentient gas clouds that communicated through pheromones and interpretive dance. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared them for humans. I still can't believe it, Chit Z9, chief xenobiologist of the Confederation's Earth observation team. His antennae twitched nervously as he paced the bridge of their cloaked ship, hovering high above the blue planet. How can a species be so confusing? Terrifying? Downright insane, offered Blob, the ship's gelatinous captain, his amorphous form rippling with what passed for amusement among his kind. All of the above, Z9 exclaimed, throwing all four of his arms up in exasperation. 1 minute they're composing symphonies and creating works of art that move even our cold, alien hearts. The next, they're at each other's throats over the most trivial matters, like that time they nearly started a global war over a bucket. Blob burbled, referencing a particularly baffling incident from Earth's history. Precisely, Z9 clicked his mandibles in frustration. And don't even get me started on their reaction to our presence. We've been observing them for decades, following all standard protocols for pre-contact species, cloaked ships, minimal interference, the occasional abduction and probing, you know, the usual. And yet? Blob prompted, already knowing where this was going. And yet, Z9 continued, somehow they detected us. Not only that, but their response was, well, see for yourself. He gestured to the ship's main view screen, which flickered to life, showing a montage of scenes from Earth. Humans of all shapes, sizes, and colors were out in the streets, their faces contorted in what the aliens had come to recognize as the expression of rage. They carried signs with messages like "ET go home," and "probe this," accompanied by a rather rude hand gesture. But it wasn't just protests. The screen showed flashes of human military activity, jets scrambling, ships deploying, and most alarmingly, a series of launches that the ship's AI helpfully identified as primitive but alarmingly effective anti-spacecraft missiles. By the cosmic egg, Blob bubbled, his gelatinous form quivering with shock. They're actually trying to fight us? Us? The most advanced civilization in the known galaxy? It appears so, Z9 replied, his exoskeleton paling to a sickly green. And the worst part? Our predictive algorithms give them a 17% chance of success. Impossible. Blob spluttered, nearly losing cohesion in his agitation. How could a species that still thinks digital watches are a pretty neat idea possibly stand a chance against us? Before Z9 could respond, the ship's alarms blared to life. The view screen switched to an external view, showing a swarm of Earth vessels rapidly approaching their position. How can they see us? Z9 stammered. Our cloaking technology is perfect. Apparently not, Blob gurgled grimly. Tactical analysis, now. The ship's AI chimed in, its voice unnervingly calm given the circumstances. Earth vessels approaching at high velocity. Scans indicate, wait, that can't be right. What? Both aliens demanded in unison. The human ships appear to be powered by a fusion of their primitive combustion engines and, is that dark matter containment? That's impossible. They shouldn't have that technology for at least another 1,000 years. Z9 and Blob exchanged alarmed glances. Well, Z9 did. Blob, being a gelatinous blob, merely rippled meaningfully. Open a channel, Z9 ordered, straightening his posture and trying to look as dignified as an insectoid alien can. Let's try to reason with them. The view screen flickered, and suddenly they were face to face with a human. The being wore some sort of protective suit, but its features were clearly visible, 2 eyes blazing with determination, a mouth set in a grim line, and atop its head, a mane of red hair that seemed to flutter in some non-existent wind. Attention, alien vessel, the human voice boomed through the ship's speakers. "This is Commander Sarah Mad Dog Martinez of the Earth Defense Force. You are in violation of Earth space and are hereby ordered to power down your systems and prepare to be boarded." Z9 clicked his mandibles nervously before responding. "Now see here, you primitive primate. We are on a scientific mission of utmost importance. You can't just..." "Can't what?" Commander Martinez interrupted, her eyes narrowing dangerously. "Can't defend our planet from a bunch of voyeuristic space perverts. Hate to break it to you, bug boy, but that's exactly what we're doing." "Voyeuristic?" Z9 sputtered indignantly. "I'll have you know that our research is purely academic." "Oh, really?" Martinez raised an eyebrow, a gesture that somehow managed to be more terrifying than any weapon. "So all those probes were for what? Checking our oil?" Blob, who had been frantically analyzing the situation, oozed over to Z9. "Sir, perhaps a more diplomatic approach." But it was too late. Z9, his scientific pride wounded, launched into a tirade. "Now listen here, you underdeveloped excuse for a sentient species. We have been studying your kind for decades, unraveling the mysteries of your primitive biology and laughably simple social structures. We are the Galactic Confederation of Superior Beings, and we will not be threatened by a species that still can't agree on whether or not to put pineapple on pizza." There was a moment of stunned silence. Then, Commander Martinez's face broke into a grin that could only be described as predatory. Well, she chuckled, the sound sending shivers down Z9's exoskeleton. "Looks like we've got ourselves some uppity aliens who need a lesson in human hospitality. Boys, light 'em up." The video feed cut off, replaced by the alarming sight of every single human ship powering up weapons that, by all rights, they shouldn't have had for another millennium. Evasive maneuvers. Blob burbled frantically, his gelatinous form rippling with panic. The alien ship dove and weaved, desperately trying to avoid the barrage of fire from the human fleet. But these weren't the primitive projectiles they had expected. Instead, beams of coherent light and pulses of gravimetric energy slammed into their shields, each impact sending shudders through the ship. "Impossible!" Z9 screeched, clinging to his console as the ship rocked violently. "They're barely out of their stone age. How do they have energy weapons?" The ship's AI, somehow managing to sound both calm and exasperated, chimed in. "If I may, sirs, it appears we may have underestimated the humans." As if to punctuate the AI's point, a particularly powerful blast rocked the ship, sending Z9 tumbling across the bridge and Blob spattering against a wall. "Shield integrity at 20% and falling," the AI reported. "At this rate, we have approximately 2 minutes before total system failure." Z9, pulling himself up from the floor, made a decision. "Initiate emergency transmission to Confederation High Command. Priority 1. Transmission ready," the AI confirmed. Z9 took a deep breath, or whatever passed for it in his alien physiology. "This is Chief Xenobiologist Z9 of the Earth Observation Team. We are under attack by the native species. They have somehow developed technology far beyond their expected capabilities and are proving formidable. We require immediate assistance and. He paused, his mandibles clicking in what might have been embarrassment. "And I strongly recommend updating the Galactic Encyclopedia entry on humans. New description, approach with extreme caution, preferably not at all." Just as Z9 finished the transmission, another blast rocked the ship. The lights flickered ominously, and a new alarm joined the cacophony of warnings already blaring through the bridge. "Hull breach on Deck 3, the AI announced, its tone somehow conveying both urgency and a hint of, "I told you so." "Reactor destabilizing. In layman's terms, we're about to go boom." Z9 turned to Blob, who had finally managed to reform into a vaguely blob-like shape. "Options?" The gelatinous captain rippled thoughtfully. "We could try to reason with them again. Before Z9 could respond, the view screen flickered back to life, showing Commander Martinez's face once more. But this time, instead of rage, her expression held a mix of triumph and, was that amusement? Having some trouble there, spaceman? She asked, her tone dripping with false concern. Z9, realizing the gravity of their situation, swallowed his pride. We surrender. Please, cease fire. Martinez's grin widened. Now that's more like it. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to turn your ship around, fly back to whatever corner of the galaxy you came from, and spread the word that Earth is off limits. We clear. Crystal, Z9 chittered dejectedly. Oh, and one more thing, Martinez added, her tone suddenly serious. If we ever catch you or any of your alien buddies snooping around our solar system again, we won't be so nice. Got it? Z9 nodded vigorously, his antennae practically tied in knots. Understood. We leave immediately. No more probes, no more abductions, no more anything. Smart move, Martinez nodded. Oh, and you might want to work on your cloaking technology. We've been able to see you for months. With that, the transmission cut off, leaving the alien bridge in stunned silence. After a moment, Blob oozed over to Z9. Orders, sir. The insectoid alien slumped in his chair. Set a course for home, maximum speed. And someone get me a space aspirin. I feel a migraine coming on in all three of my brains. As the battered alien ship limped away from Earth, its hull scarred and smoking, Z9 couldn't help but reflect on the strange, terrifying creatures they were leaving behind. These humans, with their bizarre mix of primitive emotions and advanced technology, their capacity for both violence and mercy, their inexplicable ability to progress from stone wheels to starships in the blink of a cosmic eye. You know, Blob mused, I think we may have stumbled upon something truly unique in the universe. Oh. Z9 chittered inquisitively. A species more terrifying than anything we could have imagined, the gelatinous captain continued. One that turns its rage into progress, its fear into innovation. A species that, when backed into a corner, doesn't cower, it creates. Blob considered this for a moment, his translucent form rippling thoughtfully. Should we inform the Confederation? Z9 let out a weary chitter. I will inform them, all right. We tell them to mark this entire sector of space with the highest level of warning, here be monsters, as the humans might say. As the ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, leaving the blue marble of Earth behind, neither Z9 nor Blob could shake the feeling that this wasn't the last they'd hear of humanity. In fact, they had a sinking suspicion that the galaxy was about to get a whole lot more interesting, and infinitely more terrifying. Back on Earth, Commander Martinez watched the alien ship disappear into the inky blackness of space. She allowed herself a small smile before turning to her crew. Well done, people. Now, who wants to explain to the UN how we suddenly have a space fleet? A chorus of groans filled the bridge, but there was an undercurrent of pride. They had done it. They had defended Earth, armed with nothing but human ingenuity, a healthy dose of reverse-engineered alien tech, and a whole lot of rage. As Martinez prepared to return to Earth, she couldn't help but wonder what other adventures awaited humanity among the stars. One thing was certain, the galaxy had no idea what was coming. Buckle up, universe, she muttered to herself. Humanity is just getting started. In the days and weeks that followed, Earth was abuzz with activity. The revelation of alien life and humanity's dramatic entrance onto the galactic stage had turned the world upside down. Governments scrambled to adapt to this new reality, scientists worked around the clock to understand and improve the alien technology they'd reverse-engineered, and the public, well, the public did what humans do best. They adapted. Street vendors in New York started selling alien repellent, guaranteed to mask your scent from probing extraterrestrials or your money back. In Tokyo, a new fashion trend emerged, featuring clothing adorned with anti-alien slogans and stylized depictions of Commander Martinez's now iconic grin. And in a small town in the American Midwest, a group of enterprising farmers converted an old cornfield into the world's first human superiority theme park, complete with a probe the alien dunk tank and a Deathworlder obstacle course designed to showcase the indomitable human spirit. But amidst all the chaos and celebration, a quiet but fierce determination had taken hold of the human race. They had faced the unknown and emerged victorious, but they knew this was only the beginning. The universe was vast, and if there was one thing humanity had learned, it was that they were not alone. And so, with a mixture of excitement and trepidation, Earth began to prepare for its next great adventure. The newly formed Earth Defense Force, with Commander Martinez at its helm, worked tirelessly to bolster the planet's defenses and expand its fledgling space fleet. Scientists and engineers from around the world pooled their knowledge and resources, driven by a shared purpose, to ensure that humanity would never again be caught off guard by the dangers lurking in the stars. Meanwhile, in the halls of power, world leaders grappled with the implications of humanity's new place in the cosmos. Old rivalries and petty squabbles seemed to fade away in the face of this greater challenge, replaced by a newfound sense of unity and common purpose. For the first time in history, humanity stood as one, ready to face whatever the universe might throw at them. And yet, even as Earth looked to the future with hope and determination, the specter of the unknown loomed large. What other wonders and horrors lay waiting in the vast expanse of space? What new challenges would humanity face as it ventured out into the stars? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain, the day the aliens witnessed the unstoppable rage of the Deathworlders was only the beginning. Humanity had tasted the thrill of victory, and they would stop at nothing to defend their place in the universe. The galaxy would never be the same. Months turned into years, and as humanity's presence in the galactic community grew, so too did their reputation. Tales of the Deathworlders and their impossible victory over the Galactic Confederation spread like wildfire, sparking a mix of fear, awe, and curiosity among the myriad species that called the Milky Way home. Some viewed humanity as a potential ally, a rising power that could help tip the scales in the ever-shifting balance of galactic politics. Others saw them as a threat, a chaotic and unpredictable force that could upset the delicate equilibrium that had held sway for eons. But regardless of their opinions, one thing was clear, the humans could not be ignored. For their part, the people of Earth embraced their newfound status with a mix of pride and trepidation. They had always known, on some deep, instinctual level, that they were special, that the challenges and hardships they had faced throughout their history had forged them into something unique. But to have that belief confirmed, to know that they were truly one of a kind in a universe teeming with life, it was both exhilarating and terrifying. As humanity ventured out into the stars, they encountered wonders and horrors beyond their wildest imaginings. They met species that defied comprehension, civilizations that had risen and fallen in the time it took for a single human heartbeat. They discovered ancient ruins and lost technologies, glimpsed the shadows of cosmic mysteries that had endured since the dawn of time. And through it all, they learned. With each new encounter, each new challenge, humanity grew stronger, wiser, more adaptable. They took the best of what the galaxy had to offer and made it their own, integrating alien technologies and ideas into their own unique blend of innovation and sheer, stubborn determination. But even as they marveled at the wonders of the universe, the people of Earth never forgot the lessons of their first contact. They knew that the galaxy was a dangerous place, filled with beings who would stop at nothing to exploit or destroy those they perceived as weak. And so, they remained ever vigilant, ready to defend their hard-won place among the stars. At the forefront of this effort was the Earth Defense Force, now a sprawling, multiplanetary organization tasked with protecting humanity's interests both at home and abroad. Under the leadership of Commander Martinez, now promoted to the rank of Admiral, the EDF had grown into a formidable military machine, equipped with the most advanced technology and staffed by the best and brightest of humanity's warriors. But even as the EDF stood watch over Earth and its colonies, a new threat was brewing on the galactic horizon. Whispers began to circulate of a powerful alien empire, a civilization that had conquered countless worlds and enslaved untold billions. They were known as the Zorgax, and their reputation for cruelty and conquest was second to none. At first, the reports were dismissed as rumor and hearsay. After all, humanity had faced down the Galactic Confederation and won. What could possibly pose a threat to the Deathworlders now? But as the evidence mounted, as more and more worlds fell silent and star systems vanished from the galactic map, a sense of unease began to grip the human race. The Zorgax were coming, and if the stories were to be believed, they would stop at nothing until the entire galaxy was under their thrall. Faced with this new and terrifying threat, humanity once again found itself at a crossroads. Would they retreat, abandoning the stars and huddling in fear on their own tiny corner of the cosmos? Or would they stand and fight, risking everything to defend their place in the universe? For Admiral Martinez and the brave men and women of the Earth Defense Force, there was only one answer. They had not come this far, had not sacrificed so much, only to surrender at the first sign of danger. If the Zorgax wanted a fight, then by God, they would give them one. And so, as the galaxy held its breath and the armies of the Zorgax drew ever closer, humanity prepared for war. They marshaled their forces, rallied their allies, and steeled themselves for the greatest challenge they had ever faced. The Deathworlders had defeated the Galactic Confederation, but could they overcome the might of the Zorgax Empire? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain, the unstoppable rage of the human spirit would not be denied. No matter the odds, no matter the cost, they would fight to the bitter end, for the fate of the galaxy itself hung in the balance. The stage was set, the pieces were in motion, and the greatest conflict the universe had ever known was about to begin. The Deathworlders were ready. The question was, were the Zorgax? The first blow came without warning. One moment, the galaxy was at peace, the next, a dozen star systems had fallen silent, their inhabitants vanished into the void. The Zorgax had arrived, and their conquest had begun. Across the galaxy, civilizations trembled and despaired. The Zorgax were a force unlike any they had ever encountered, a relentless, implacable foe that seemed to know no fear, no mercy, no limit to their hunger for domination. One by one, the great powers of the cosmos fell, their armies shattered, their worlds stripped bare. But amidst the chaos and the carnage, one beacon of hope shone bright. The Deathworlders, the humans of Earth, had not forgotten the lessons of their past. They had seen the signs, had read the portents, and they had prepared. As the Zorgax juggernaut swept across the stars, the Earth Defense Force stood ready. Their fleets were vast, their weapons powerful, their soldiers trained and determined. And at their head stood Admiral Martinez, the woman who had led humanity to victory against the Galactic Confederation all those years ago. Under her command, the EDF launched a blistering counterattack, striking at the heart of the Zorgax advance. Human ships clashed with alien dreadnoughts in the skies above 100 worlds, while on the ground, human soldiers fought side by side with their galactic allies, holding the line against the relentless onslaught of the Zorgax legions. The battles were fierce, the losses heavy. The Zorgax were a foe unlike any humanity had ever faced, their technology advanced, their tactics ruthless. But the Deathworlders would not be denied. They fought with a ferocity and tenacity that surprised even their most stalwart allies, their rage and determination a force that even the Zorgax could not withstand. Slowly, painfully, the tide began to turn. The Zorgax advance faltered, their losses mounting with each passing day. And as the galaxy watched in awe, the impossible happened. The humans, the upstart primates from a backwater world, began to push the Zorgax back. From the blood-soaked trenches of VX 1138 to the shattered ruins of the Galactic Council, the Deathworlders pressed their advantage. They retook lost worlds, liberated enslaved populations, and shattered the myth of Zorgax invincibility with each hard-fought victory. But even as they savored their triumphs, the humans knew that the war was far from over. The Zorgax were a patient foe, willing to bide their time and gather their strength for the next assault. And so, even as they celebrated, the EDF prepared, fortifying their defenses and marshalling their forces for the battles to come. Months turned into years, and the war ground on, a brutal, unrelenting struggle that spanned the length and breadth of the galaxy. Worlds burned, populations were displaced, and the very fabric of galactic society began to fray under the strain of constant conflict. But through it all, the Deathworlders endured. They adapted, they innovated, they refused to yield. And slowly, inexorably, they began to gain the upper hand. The turning point came at the Battle of Zorgax Prime, the seat of the alien empire's power. For months, the EDF had fought a grueling campaign to reach the heavily fortified system, battling through a gauntlet of enemy fleets and fortress worlds. But at last, they had arrived, and the final confrontation was at hand. It was a battle like none the galaxy had ever seen. The skies above Zorgax Prime were filled with the flashes of 1,000,000 weapons, as human and alien ships dueled in a dance of death and destruction. On the planet's surface, EDF troops clashed with the elite of the Zorgax military, fighting street by street, building by building, in a brutal, no-holds-barred struggle for survival. For days, the battle raged, the outcome hanging in the balance. But in the end, it was the Deathworlders who emerged victorious. With a final, desperate push, they broke through the Zorgax defenses and stormed the Imperial Palace, capturing the alien Emperor and shattering the backbone of the Empire's power. The war was over. The Zorgax were defeated, their armies scattered, their empire in ruins. And as the dust settled and the smoke cleared, the galaxy looked to the humans of Earth with a newfound respect and admiration. They had done the impossible. They had faced the greatest threat the universe had ever known and emerged triumphant. The Deathworlders, the unstoppable rage of humanity, had saved the galaxy from the brink of destruction. But even as they savored their victory, the people of Earth knew that their work was not yet done. The galaxy was a changed place, scarred by the ravages of war and the collapse of the old order. A new era was dawning, an age of uncertainty and possibility, and humanity would have to find its place in this brave new world. But one thing was certain. The Deathworlders had earned their place among the stars, and they would never again be underestimated or overlooked. They were a force to be reckoned with, a power that would shape the destiny of the galaxy for generations to come. And as Admiral Martinez looked out across the shattered landscape of Zorgax Prime, she knew that, whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity would face them as they always had, with courage, determination, and the unstoppable rage of the human spirit. The Deathworlders had arrived, and the universe would never be the same. In the years that followed the defeat of the Zorgax, humanity found itself at the center of a new galactic order. The old powers had fallen, their influence shattered by the ravages of war, and in their place, a new balance emerged, with Earth and its allies at the forefront. It was a time of great change and upheaval, as the myriad species of the galaxy struggled to find their place in this new reality. Some embraced the leadership of the Deathworlders, seeing in their strength and determination a path to a brighter future. Others resisted, clinging to the old ways and viewing the rise of humanity with fear and suspicion. For the people of Earth, the challenges were many. They had to navigate the complex web of galactic politics, forging new alliances and mending old rifts. They had to rebuild the shattered infrastructure of 1,000 worlds, bringing hope and healing to populations traumatized by war and oppression. And above all, they had to confront the weight of their own newfound power, the responsibility that came with being the guardians of the galaxy. But through it all, they persevered. Led by the indomitable will of Admiral Martinez and the brave men and women of the Earth Defense Force, humanity rose to meet each new challenge with the same courage and determination that had seen them through the darkest days of the Zorgax War. They reached out to their galactic neighbors, building bridges of understanding and cooperation. They shared their knowledge and technology, helping to lift up those who had been left behind by the march of progress. And when threats emerged, as they inevitably did, the Deathworlders stood ready, a bulwark against the darkness that sought to consume the galaxy. As the years turned into decades, humanity's influence only grew. The EDF became a symbol of hope and protection, a shining beacon in a galaxy still haunted by the specter of war. Human culture and innovation spread like wildfire, transforming the very fabric of galactic society. And slowly, grudgingly, even the most stubborn of the old guard began to acknowledge the truth: the Deathworlders were here to stay. But even as they basked in the glow of their achievements, the people of Earth never forgot the lessons of their past. They knew that the universe was a vast and dangerous place, filled with wonders and horrors beyond imagining. They knew that the price of peace was eternal vigilance, and that the rage that had carried them through the darkest of times was a flame that could never be allowed to gutter out. And so, as the galaxy moved forward into a new era of peace and prosperity, the Deathworlders stood watch, ready to defend their hard-won gains against any who would seek to take them away. They had earned their place among the stars, and they would not surrender it lightly. For Admiral Martinez, the journey had been a long and difficult one. She had seen the best and worst of humanity, had witnessed the depths of their rage and the heights of their nobility. She had led them through war and peace, through triumph and tragedy, and had emerged scarred but unbroken, a living testament to the indomitable will of the human spirit. And as she looked out across the vast expanse of the galaxy, watching the stars dance in the endless void, she knew that, whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity would face them as they always had, with courage, determination, and the unstoppable rage of the Deathworlders. It had been a long and difficult road, but at last, humanity had taken its rightful place among the stars. And though the universe might tremble at their coming, though the old powers might seek to stand in their way, one thing was certain: the Deathworlders had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. For they were humanity, the children of Earth, forged in the crucible of 1,000 wars and tempered by the fires of adversity. They were the guardians of the galaxy, the protectors of the weak and the defenders of the just. They were the Deathworlders, and their rage was a force that would shape the universe for generations to come. And as the galaxy looked to the future with newfound hope and optimism, Admiral Martinez smiled, knowing that, whatever lay ahead, humanity would be ready. For they were the Deathworlders, and their story was only just beginning.